Go for it, Paul.
Okay. So me personally, I actually have a lot of friends in the video game industry, in the art industry, and in graphic design. Sorry. And artists can choose what they want to use as a medium for their art, which in this case we're talking about video games, thanks to Marisol, who's actually a graphic designer. Some would consider the left picture over here by Van Gogh to be art, but this one right here from Legend of Zelda by Yasuki Iwata not to be art. The only difference is that this one was made on actual piece of paper, and this one, or mural, and this was made completely digital on a digital pad. But what's funny is that this picture right here had a lot more go into just what happened here. So with this one, this probably had some beginning sketches, it was drawn up, and then it was completely finished because Van Gogh decided to color it in, do how he wanted to actually make his picture. Over here, this has so many more aspects in it than just a normal picture normally would because it's a 3D platform. So every little thing you're seeing here at one point in time had a sketch on a piece of paper in real life that ended up leading to the 3D print that you would see in the game. Both pictures were made by hand. The only difference is that one is completely digital at the end and the other one stays on paper. Creating video games is like making a sculpture. It is literally like making a sculpture. And now in today's day, you can actually get virtual reality paintbrush sets where you can go into a virtual reality world and paint your own sculptures, which is pretty cool. So right here, this is some of my favorite games, Fallout, Doom. We actually will be talking about how Robert Nordry actually designed these worlds by hand. Every little single piece that you see in each one of these worlds was made at one point by hand. Every single one of these characters that you see, each one had a step, each one had a piece, each facial feature had a step on paper before it was put digitally. So video game art is actually real art that was just implemented into a video game to look beautiful, that it actually gives almost like a campaign that people can play the art. Video games are equivalent to a landscape. Sierra, who's also another graphic designer that I know. And basically, over here is what you would see in Photoshop or in a tablet software, which is how these are all made. And these are layers. And each one of these layers are used to design 3D and 2D models, which is very difficult. And actually, it's way more difficult than hand drawing because hand drawing, you can just go like erase and then you fix it and erase. It's always one dimensional. It's always just one 2D plane. Even with a 2D in digital form, there are multiple layers you have to go through, which is what I was kind of showing here. So for example, BG would be the background layer. Clothing 2 would be the shirt that the character's wearing. The clothing 1 would maybe be the undershirt that the character's wearing. So it's a lot more in depth. It's not just one layer. It's completely 3D, even when it's a 2D image. Digital versus paper. So I actually made a comparison about how there's some differences between digital, a drawing tablet versus paper and pencil. So obviously, paper and pencil, you have to own every single different thing that you want to use to sketch on a piece of paper. It's not necessarily just, for example, in the digital drawing over here, you have one pen. The one pen does everything. It has everything. It has millions of tools you can actually use through the software that it comes with. So from Hope, who's another graphic designer for Bethesda, she talked about how there are millions of options that you can actually have to make drawings significantly like this one, where in real life you would need to buy tons and tons of different supplies to actually do those drawings. There's an undo button on a tablet. That's really cool. Basically, if you completely screw up, it's not, oh no, I gotta erase the whole thing. It's like, just press the button, boom, it's gone. It also supports 3D, so compared to a piece of paper, you can draw in 3D, but you can't physically make something in 3D where you can move around the image to see it. You can literally, on a tablet, move around an image to see different sides of it digitally, hence video games. Steps in drawing, video game, art, and scenery. Everything with a texture is drawn at one point. Envato, which is a website for graphic design, basically set up a little bit of an illustration here I'd like to go over, and these are concept sketches. This is basically the beginning stages of a video game. So for example, Legend of Zelda, if you want to have a landscape, on a piece of paper they would draw a landscape, and then from there it would go into the alpha beta stages where the artists would actually go to a computer, make the 3D platforms, the characters, all these things that you would be playing in the game, and then they would transfer the layers and textures over to the actual game where it is public to final release, where they would allow you to buy it.